All right, so how's everybody doing? Good. At the beach, nice and warm, not like last year. A little bit cloudy last year, but much better this year. So my name is Aaron. I'm going to be talking about machine learning and security as it stands today. A lot of things have been coming out as of this year and recently. Even at Youth Next, I'll talk about a little bit of overview of just machine learning in general, and then how we apply it in the real world, and then how we use it in security. So let's get started. So here's the outline right here. So first we're going to talk about what I do, what machine learning is, how it's been used, how we use ML, ML security, the need of ML, which is machine learning, and then the future, what can happen, the possibilities, how we can improve a lot of security or things in general, whatever your area of interest is in security. And then we'll have like a little discussion, see if we can get some ideas going. I'm also going to be introducing a project that I think will help application security. So this should be good. I hope to get some contributors. Is there any data science, machine learning professionals in here, or are we all security guys? We have pen testers, QA guys, developers, system guys, show hands, system guys, QA guys. Security guys? Sweet. Or gals? Alright. So, no machine learning people. Oh, that depresses me. Yeah, how many people didn't raise their hands? Aaron and Brian. Thanks, guys. So, here's a little bit about me. We'll talk a little bit. So, I'm born and bred here in LA. Actually, it's great to be in LA. We have weather like this. I love pizza. I was actually going to wear pizza socks today, but I decided not to. Just because I'm holding back on pizza as of this month. Because every Friday, yes. I'm trying really hard to be on a good diet. Be on the computer all day. Really catch up to you. So I'm an application security professional. I'm not a machine learning professional. Although it's my big area of interest right now. I think it'll change. The future as far as technology is concerned. I'm a board member for OWASP, Los Angeles. I'm a board member for Security Alliance, and I'm the first vice president for HTCIA. I drive a motorcycle. I'll probably drive in tomorrow, and I ameliorate. So you're probably asking, what's ameliorate mean? So don't worry, I have a definition for you, because it's exactly what a lot of security professionals do. Make something bad or unsatisfactory better. That's exactly, I think, what security professionals do, because you always come in a situation where it's pretty crappy. You have to make things, whether it's network, whether it's application-based, whether it's system-based, you have to try to fix it, break it, and then make it better. So usually when I tell people what I do, I say, I ameliorate. And usually, they'll go, yeah, because they really don't know what the definition is, but, I think it's pretty funny, and it fits us perfectly. So let's talk about, I guess, the general definition of machine learning. So it's basically right here. Machine learning is studying computer algorithms that improve automatically through experience. Tom mentioned there. It's actually from Wikipedia. So it's based off the idea of giving data to algorithms, and you train the data. And I'll talk about the process and how to do it. Basically a three-step process. And the more data you give your machine learning algorithm, then you can optimize it. So it's kind of like a human. How we learn. We start in kindergarten, through elementary school, through high school. We kind of build a foundation and kind of learn what's right from wrong. We learn math and gradually get up to algebra, and geometry, algebra 2, pre-calculus, calculus, and stuff like that. So it's how there's an area of machine learning as well that's based off the human brain, and we'll talk about that as well. So here's just a general overview. For machine learning, there's different types of learning. We have supervised, unsupervised, semi-supervised, and then within that, there's certain classifications like clustering, there's regression, there's loads more than this. There's actually representational. This is just like a high overview of how you can use it. So supervised learning is if you have like spam. You have an email that's legitimate, and you have an email that's trying to phish you basically. And then you have some emails that you don't know what they are. but it's still part of your data set. So when you have supervised, you just have to have one known good, one known bad. Semi-supervised would be the three I was talking about, the third that's uncategorized. So bad, good, and then uncategorized, and then you build your data set and you assume from there. And then you have unsupervised, where you have no data that's legitimate or that you know about that you're working with. So let me give an example of unsupervised. Let's say it's basically unpredictable. So you're trying to learn with no examples. I guess for people learning machine learning right now, if you guys don't know anything about machine learning and you have no example of it, and you don't know, I guess, security and systems, those could be an unsupervised example to where you could then train your algorithms depending. There's tons and tons of algorithms, and I'll show you right now. It's almost overwhelming, but there's a lot of people think with machine learning it's purely math. Although it's based off the algorithms, a lot of them are built for you. So you just kind of have to pick the right one and pick the right learning so you can train your data properly. So here's some of the algorithms. I mean, geez, I'm not going to go through them. I just want you to see like, an example of the different kinds: deep learning, unsupervised, supervised. And supervised is actually the most common. That's what's used today, like in products, production. And I'll talk about how we use it in security with supervised learning, and then deep learning as well. That's supervised and deep learning are probably the top types of learning in machine learning right now, just because there's so much potential. And unsupervised is kind of a little bit more difficult to get the data you want. It's hard enough with supervised. So here's the process here. So you're going to have to choose an algorithm. And I'll share, there's a couple of websites that actually share like an open source version of, if you have an algorithm, you can upload it, depending on what you're trying to learn, or you're trying to teach your application to learn. So once you train it with your data set, so you can train it with, I don't know, some people say history repeats itself, for example. You can get, I don't know, so what's in the country, so like Ferguson, I don't know. The location, the time, you can get a data set where, I guess, the race, the country, and then maybe the age of the victim. And then kind of load an algorithm that will take that data set and get more examples of crimes that happen through, I don't know, like a local database or of some sort, and predict the future of history, what's going to happen next crime, what location, according to how much data you give it. So the more data, the better. It's typically how it works in machine learning. So then from there, once you kind of get a little bit of a result, this is where the math part gets in. This is the last part. It's evaluating your algorithm and optimizing it. So from there, that's when you have to say you take some of the algorithm, now you have to learn how to, I guess, fix it and make it refer to what you want as your result. So here's a lot. I didn't want to put a bunch on the screen. I know you guys are probably going to read the screen before you listen to me. So I guess let's just go. So how is it being used today? How is machine learning being used today? You get big data analytics. You have marketing. You use like tracking information, and you get all the data from your browser, your computer, your plugins. You get, and then from there you can predict who's your favorite. Your preferred customers. Who are the customers that leave you more? You have your driverless cars. It uses linear, like Google's driverless cars. What it does is it takes an algorithm and it loads the edges of the road. You can see like pixelated, and it follows the pixels, and it learns. The more and more you take it to roads, it learns what kind of roads it is. Anomaly detection, we see that in labs. We see spam, like Google uses it for spam. And then you have voice recognition. These are probably the old known ways of using machine learning that you guys probably don't realize, but it has to recognize the dialect, the country, the origin, and from there it'll recognize what you're saying according to the dialect. If it's English, Spanish, French, English, Australian. Then you have health industry. They use it for obviously right here, heart failures and emergency wait times, so they can predict what time they're busy, when to staff more people. And then, like I was saying, focus on the customers. and the churn rate. So you can know, yeah, these people only have 10,000 licenses, these people have 200,000. I'd rather focus on these people who have been here longer, who make us more money, as opposed to the people who are always complaining and don't have a lot of seats, and maybe spend more attention and love with them. So you have robotics, which is probably the most common actually. You hear a lot of artificial intelligence with machine learning. We'll get into movies that actually incorporate that. So with that is neural networks, deep neural network learning. So then you have risk management, ad targeting, we talked about that, and then movies right here. And I think, yeah, we have some movies that incorporate machine learning. It's not obvious. It doesn't state that it's using machine learning, but we'll go with her, which is the operating system that utilizes machine learning, that learns from how you treat it, how you talk to it. I don't know, who's seen her? Who's watched it before? Okay, good, so it's mostly most of the people. Did you guys know it was machine learning when you guys watched it? Okay, some of you. Okay. It was very interesting to see how it learned so much so fast in a short period of time. I'm going to spoil it right now, sorry. It was interesting to see how it thought it was a human because it learned so much about the human race. It learned so much about how we talk to each other, how we express ourselves, and it got confused because of all the data. It was treated like a human, it talked like a human, it even started to get feelings, but it's a machine in the end. But that uses deep neural networks. And we have Transcendence. This is a good movie. Anybody seen Transcendence before? Nice, yeah. I have seen it. I'm not this movie is amazing. I actually just rewatched it this week, specifically just because there's so many references, and the point of it is machine learning. I won't spoil this one because I actually want you to see it, and you guys can come up with your own conclusion. I want to tell you guys so bad. Anyhow, gotta love Hollywood with their movies. They did a really good job with this one. Some really good examples, and it can show you the capability of what machine learning can do, especially to humans and machines. We have RoboCop. Everybody knows RoboCop, right? Taking it back. RoboCop. Who's seen RoboCop? Can I spoil this one? New one.
The original?
Yeah, the original one, but the new one was, you can tell it was based off of machine learning. They made it like apparent because they had sensors on the brain, so you can monitor like the pulses and such. Like deep neural networks, it kind of mimics the same type of situation. And he only had a brain, literally like a heart. And from there, he learned how to function and walk and talk and be half machine and human at the same time. You guys watch, but it's interesting to see how Hollywood is incorporating these movies, and you kind of really don't notice, or tech people don't notice really. Security people probably do. Data science people definitely do. You can even take these movies as a data set and see what the next movie is going to be. I don't know. You can do whatever you want. So we'll talk about the big companies who use it, because let's face it, if you're not using machine learning and in your business, you're kind of falling behind. You're behind the technology. So we talk about eBay, we talk about Google Spam. They use it for upselling, for ads, for the target. You can filter through your email. I'm sure you guys know that. IBM uses it for heart failures. Microsoft uses it for analytics typically. Telecommunications companies, they use it for toll fraud. They can see who's calling in and how. They can see all the data, so much data within call records that you can determine what countries, what time, the typical time, when it's going to happen next, and how you can block that. And then you have Cloudera, Facebook, LinkedIn, who, especially Facebook, uses analytics for just about everything. That's their selling point, is the amount of data that they have, and they're very big. I think they use R. They have like as a programming language that is, I guess, the main programming language for machine learning is R, and they also have its own IDE and such. In law enforcement, even LAPD uses it for crime hotspots. Where to determine what city, what location, what time, ethnicity. They have their own database where, yes.
Also games and gambling.
Yeah, games and gambling. Well, gambling uses it for probability, right?
We try to figure out how to get you hooked.
Yeah, probability is also another form of machine learning.
Like whatever it takes to get you another thing, so you put another quarter in, right? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Or we buy another level G or something.
Yeah, exactly. And banks, we have banks as well. It's the same purpose for fraud, typically. But as you can see, they're pretty big companies who are using this. All right, so let's get into how it's used in security. Most of you probably know, or may not know, that CAPTCHA cracking, it was about maybe beginning of the year when they used machine learning with linear machine learning, where they got the outline of the CAPTCHA images, and what they did was determine where it's at and what the next one will be by the pixels. They pixelated it. It's basically how they started cracking it. They didn't need a human to do it. So they just look at the outlining of the pixels once they train the data to see what an A looks, what an S, and different kinds and fonts and such. So you can see machine learning and security right now as a reactive approach. They're trying to predict the future, but right now it's reactive after they get the data. After they get attacked or they get a threat, it's mostly reactive, but in an approach to get proactive, I guess you can say. So we have OWASP. I know OWASP that use machine learning, web application firewalls. You have it for incident response. Usually the big data is also one side of incident response, and then one side like analytics and sales and such. There you go. Big data. Then we have threat detection, like malware analysis and such. We have companies like Cypher using machine learning. They just found one yesterday. I totally forgot to slip my mind. But again, we have predictive analysis for the future for spam. And Google uses it for suspicious activities to see where you've logged in at. And then where if it's you're 1 minute in LA, the next minute in, I don't know, China, it's pretty much impossible. They actually gather the data, how many, like Apple for example, they, who has an iPhone, so I can educate you. Nice. Oh, you know this already. About location. They know where you've been by default. They turn location on. It's in system services and privacy. System services, and you go all the way down and you see frequent locations. And it gives you geolocation data, like longitude, latitude of where you've been, and the times and how often. You go to privacy? Privacy? Yeah, you go to location services, all the way at the bottom, all the way down. System services, system services. I have a live example here. Frequent location on, perfect. Apple is loving you. And your provider. So if you go down, that's for you again. Say it out loud. That's for you. Oh, you're welcome. Go ahead and turn it off now. So yeah, it's here we go, your iPhone. All the data, like I was saying, you get your geolocation data, you get the amount of times you call, you get your provider as well. It also goes to AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile. It's all just feeding data to people, no matter how big or small your device is, whether it's IoT, which is another form of IoT is your phone. It could be anything. It could be anything giving out data. You don't even know it. Here we go. The all big data. I actually got these from a site that just specializes in big data. I think it's called Big Data Pictures. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. You see. I think I have a pretty one on here. Oh no, I don't. Yeah. So this is just some photos that are pretty good. So. This is, I guess, my point of the talk here. I want to use machine learning in a proactive approach. I don't want to use it in reactive. I don't want to use it for incident response. I don't want to use it for, I guess I use it for analytics as just another attribute. But I want to use it for application security specifically. And maybe you can put it in a static analysis tool. But the downside is it takes time. You're gonna have to gather a lot of data, and then this is why we need it though, because we also have people who are malicious will probably use it before us while trying to use it proactively. I think we're kind of late. Security is always reactive, always reactive. You have fires trying to put out, especially with application security. You have web apps, you have thick apps that are always getting attacked. But I'm concerned about the evil, because if you can use it for good, you can use it for evil. You can do some pretty crazy things. I have some ideas that I'll share, just because I'm pretty evil sometimes. So we don't really have any mobile security right now. We don't have any infrastructure security, penetration testing, forensics, and this is how it can help. It can help in all of these DevOps daily duties, from staging to production, forensics, when you kind of already have an idea and you can kind of predict where these type of attacks start from, end from. Pen testing, you can get certain clientele data. You have a number of clients that you can use as your data set attributes, and then use it in an algorithm. So this is what I was saying. So my idea is, let's come up with an idea where we can integrate machine learning and application security by giving it a bunch of programming data. So it's Perl, Python, Ruby. You can even give it R if you want to. You can give it C, C++, and learn all the different types of vulnerable, I guess, this is going to be server side. I'm focusing on server side. They just have one on the client side right now. So server side, focus on all the vulnerable, let's see, like entry points, or let's see, like compilation errors you can tell. You can do it in the IDE, like I mentioned. You can, and then from there, once you see the vulnerable, it could be supervised, because we know what good programming is, what bad programming is, maybe semi, because then you have the middle ground where people code and they don't even understand it. So we can use those three data sets and integrate it maybe to an IDE that will fix these application security issues before they get out to production. So I know that right now they have some sort of IDEs, like a SaaS tool. They have IDEs and plugins that kind of really just look for patterns and just base it off of patterns. It's not learning anything. It's just going off a regular expression. So we'll be providing code real time, even with business logic. You can see and you can understand according to how much data you give it. It'll be real time. So usually, like, I don't know if you guys know, like SaaS tools, it takes like a day or hours to get a result. I want that result now. If I'm a security guard, if I'm coding something myself. And then we want it open source, because even all the SaaS vendors, it's all closed source. There's nothing open source for some sort of preventative measure for secure coding. So like I said, they have some in IDEs, but all that's closed source from my research. So we can make it compatible with major IDEs, or you can use it by yourself, use it by itself. So I'm going to base it off of Python, so I'll describe that right now. And then we can, even if the human doesn't know what they're writing, how they're writing it, the machine learning algorithm can detect that, and then we could then fix the issues before they even get out to production. So, like I said, it's different because it's all right now, all the IDEs that do, how do you say that? I don't even for it. Anyhow, well, we said it was based off of regular expressions, right? I mean, other than that, there's not really much that's out there. You have static analysis, the big companies, HP and such, that just use a different type of technology. But again, it's not learning. It's just checking out what you're doing according to, I guess, rules. It's all rule-based. Everything's rule-based. Nothing is getting all the data and taking the data and getting training. It's not doing intelligence. I guess you can put intelligence. It's just rules. It has a little bit of logic, just like if statements, but still, doesn't have a logic like a human being. We want it to be as close or better than a human can detect security issues while coding. So it'll be probably better than myself. My goal is to make it better than myself going through lines, or even just take a human out of it completely and train it so well that it'll detect even before it gets out. So I just started this project. One of my side projects is to is exactly this. I named it AppSec ML. There's other projects as well that focus on security, but I have not seen anything in application security yet. Has anybody else seen anything in application security, machine learning? No, it's good. You see it like in threat intelligence feeds. Like I said, it's all like IDS, incident response. Right now, in my current stage, I'm just exploring certain algorithms so I can apply my data. And I'm also gathering different types of coding examples so I can feed the data. So I need some help. If I can get some help with writing this, it'd be awesome. Give some contribution here. Make it open source, make it free. I'm going to write it in Python. There's so many machine learning libraries in Python that we can utilize. Yes?
So I would assume that processing the text and turning it into a meaningful signal that uses to train an ML algorithm is probably the most difficult challenge here. Is that so that you know, not the actual learning, but signal, creating a meaningful signal from the data is probably
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the part that I'm still exploring because there's so many algorithms that you choose from. And the trying to in the different learning methods, that's why I'm still stuck. I think maybe semi supervised is the way to go because you don't know the unknown basically. So, but once we know all the good and bad, we can assume what the unknown is after we train the data properly. Is how machine learning works. So yes, that's definitely the hard part, and getting all the data from all the different languages. So hopefully we can get a lot of data from. Maybe I could use like a crawl, GitHub, Bitbucket, or other free repos that are publicly available, and see if I can just gather data like that, and then just feed it into my algorithm and train it that way. So I'm open to ideas as well. So if anybody would like to help out, I think it's pretty good.
Do you have a site for this?
Yes, I have it on GitHub. I just created it. I was doing it all locally, but I was like, you know what, I need some help. I'm kind of stretched and kind of busy. Yes, man.
So Aaron, come join us at the machine learning and data science and big data meetups. And I'll connect you with some of the key players there and you can start asking them for like some mentoring or some advice.
Yeah, that'd be great. Awesome. Thanks, man. So, do you guys have any ideas? You can apply machine learning in your area of interest. Does anybody have any ideas? Yes? No? E-discovery.
Well, yeah, I was going to tell you, in legal field, they have what's called predictive coding. Have you heard of this?
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Where you have 100,000 documents, you have an attorney who can review 10,000 documents and decide what's important and what's not, and it will figure it out for the whole 100,000 documents. And you check it by having that attorney go back and check another sample set and coding that, and then it checks against what it has and says, yeah, I did right.
Oh, wow. See, I didn't know that much in depth about it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
So in a sense, you could make something ridiculously monstrous done in a week.
Yeah,
That would
definitely.
usually take weeks and thousands of hours.
See, I don't think I even have that example. I didn't even see it while researching.
Yeah, recommend is an interesting thing. They have a patent on the phrase, I think, predictive.
Interesting. Okay, I know Google has a predictive API as well. I'll get to some libraries that can help us out. Yes, Ed.
So some security companies use this for like behavior blocking. So they watch what the application is doing on the machine, and then they kind of build up a score for it.
Like a profile, and then get a
Yeah,
score.
if they see that it suddenly does something out of the ordinary, like connects
Anomaly based,
or
right?
something, they can make their blocking decisions based on that. One thing I did want to mention is you might discover very quickly that our industry, software security, is so context sensitive that collecting that information correctly is a huge challenge, right? So you might be able to collect it from like 1,000 points, and maybe that's still not enough. It doesn't build up the whole correct picture of behavior of that application.
Definitely, yeah. That's the most difficult part, and with different languages as well. You have different forms and different ways that you can code things, and but that's the key about learning. It's going to take a long time, but it's just getting all that data so we can train it. That's the hard part, though, is getting all the data, different types, different methods, different ways that people write functions. So that's why it's a challenge. That's probably why nobody's done it, because it's going to be so difficult. But that's why you need help. If we're going to make it an open source project and all work together, we can do it quicker. I know we all do it on our free time. Yes?
I just have an idea.
Yeah.
What if you were to create a machine learning software or app inside a company's network that constantly monitors every single thing that's installed or on every, have an agent on every server, and then anytime, like it constantly pulls like CBSS, anytime it sees, well, this is a vulnerable version of this, it'll immediately alert or even go out and update that server immediately to that missing patch. Like we have, like, for example, another Heartbleed example maybe hits. Well, this machine learning app knows what's wrong. They'll say these 5 servers have that. Oh, here's the patch already downloaded, updated, and all without having to have much more of any intervention from the server.
I see this as similar to if you've ever written exploit checks, you're pulling on some different sites, it's almost like the handlers for the exploit checks. I mean, it's the way Oracle displays errors versus Microsoft, I mean, you pull those down and just you're essentially building handlers for the machine learning to look at the sources.
Yeah, exactly. Any other ideas? I think, I mean, I guess the goal is to get you thinking. Get you thinking of where you can apply this type of technology. And you can be even in recruiting. You can do it for recruiters to gather, the data sets about where they've been, how old they are, what their certs are, and predict who's actually a better candidate for this type of role. So there it is. They just have to go.
Aaron, when do you start your startup?
Working on it. I have my boss here. Here's my team, by the way, Brian, Amanda, shout out, Patrick too.
Never mind the question.
So let's talk about what's next, or I mean, some other ideas. I think that I was thinking about just while researching. Let's talk about robots. Robots taking over the world. Everybody knows, there's the whole iRobot scare, and well, we can't make zombies, but that's one way. But we can use like botnets, as the botnets can be neural networks. Each of them can think for itself, and that's pretty scary when you think about it. Because if you have a worldwide botnet using machine learning, deep neural network learning, and from there it can know who you are, where you are, what time you're home, what country you are, the time. It can automatically just you're probably owned for life. And then when it knows, like, I'm thinking when it knows that you're looking for it, it probably just gets sent out and just puts like a little like meaningless application on the computer, and then once they're done, they notice that they're done from a little application that they'll come back and there you go, you're done.
Aaron, just make sure you set that to not track.
Yeah, like that really works. Startups can take advantage of this, and they actually are. You see a lot of startups being acquired by Google and bigger companies like Amazon as well. Now, we can even use it for Amazon AWS for deployment, for VPCs, for virtual private networks, basically. And what you can do is learn the data and patterns and also deploy accordingly. So like scalability, I know they already have like Cloud Stack or something like that for AWS, but we can use it to auto-deploy different networks and use them as prototypes. And then from there, just kind of put your security endpoints. You can do a lot with it. There's a lot of ideas. I don't know. I can go on and on. But just something to think about.
Aaron, I think you will also very quickly run into a problem of you can't just do data analysis on your laptop, right?
Oh yeah, you have to have a lot of computational power. So mostly neural networks, you need a lot of power, a lot of memory, a lot of hard drive space. Ton. If you guys seen transitions, you'll understand.
So what I wanted to mention is, as a suggestion, there's this thing called Swamp from Wisconsin University of Wisconsin, where they basically offer for free such computing power. You just submit a project proposal and say this is what I'm trying to research, and they will basically make a bunch of VMs available for you to use
Nice. Okay. How do they monitor that?
That's hard to find it out. They're really starting to be a big entity out there as far as some.
That's encouraging.
This way the government keeps tabs on what's going on with these.
University the government. Wisconsin Madison?
Yes.
All right, let's get to that. Thanks, Ed. So here I was talking about robots. Yeah, we're gonna have a world full of robots. Now, robots can be even digital, doesn't have to be physical sense. Like I said, things can get pretty bad. If you like, like I said, that's pretty hairy. It's pretty gross. Right?
That's
I can't stop laughing. I was actually a selfie. So here's some more information you guys can learn if you're interested. Coursera has classes, they're free, and you have one based off of Stanford. He actually worked at Google, now he moved to some other big company, I totally forgot. Then we have Udacity, and then Georgia Tech. I think it's through Georgia Tech, they also have classes. Thanks, Sean. And here's some libraries available. Most of these are for Linux or Python. Apache Spark is a plugin for Hadoop. So is Mahout actually. And then MLlib for Python, Scikit-learn, ML5, predictive API from Google. You can actually use theirs if you want to. It's a whole, they have a whole description how to use it, how to apply it, what it's based off of, and why you would want to use it for your learning. Yes.
Could you back me up to the previous slide?
Sure. Yeah, so I haven't gone through all of the training just yet. I'm on the second one of the Coursera classes here. It gives you weeks by weeks, and they're pretty lengthy, like 20 minutes. For week one, it's pretty, you're going to spend at least 6 hours per week. But it's free, so I mean, if you have some time and you're really interested, like I said, you can apply it to whatever you want. So whether it's security or not, but preferably security. Or how about that'd be cool. And then to stay like up to date, you got the good old Reddit there, machine learning thread. A lot of information. Even on Twitter, they have bots that just spit out links, and I guess it probably crawls, or maybe Google Alerts or something probably uses every new post. I think it's called machine learning bot. And then from there, it'll show you. You'll actually see some of the capabilities that people are using it for. A lot of startups, like I said, a lot of startups are using it. They'll give a description why. So yeah, you guys have any thoughts? You guys think I'm crazy? You guys think it's kind of scary what the future may hold? If bad people or malicious people actually use machine learning in production? I mean, there's so much you can do. It's just the time to do it. Like everybody is very strained for time, and that's probably the downside of using machine learning is training that data. To apply it and be proactive, which is the goal.
What about if legal implications, if say government officials, right, decide to use certain data to try and prevent crimes that are committed, like Minority Report, right?
Yeah.
Which could be kind of realistic, if you get into quantificating and the big data and all the other stuff that's gathered.
Yeah, they are, but it could be. I mean, it'll be big because if you can fix every single coding issue algorithm, whether it's like a unit test, just the coding style, or just security vulnerabilities, that'll save huge amounts of time for everybody and money. It'll be all automated just through machine learning. So anything else? Here's my contact information here. Here's also my Twitter handle. You'll see some machine learning there as well.
So
Yes.
Aaron, someone was talking about analyzing things like the movies and trying to predict future crimes. So the city of LA, the city of Pasadena, and other cities are doing open data now, where they're allowing the data sets that they're generating to be available for analysis. And so when you start thinking about crime statistics and trying to predict crime, it's probably already happening, and it's going to happen more often. So we will see something eventually similar to the Minority Report, in a way where there's this area, we're seeing crimes come up during these historical peaks and whatnot, and this is how we're going to counter that. Now, if you think about it, we can also use that from our data security needs. Start looking, okay, well, are we going to have, let's see, attacks by this particular national group because, look, there's an event going on, an attack or a strike or a boycott or something. So I think we're going to get a lot of information out of this eventually.
Yeah, any relative data can be a data set or attribute to apply to your learning algorithm, which is cool.
If you're interested in open data, ask me and I'll point you to an open data meetup that we have in the LA area.
There's also a repo I found that I even posted on my Twitter. I totally forgot what it's called. But it has, it's an open source repo of algorithms that you can apply. Let me get that real quick. It's a really good resource. It makes it super simple to apply in production. You don't have to do the hard thinking of figuring it out. It kind of tells you, gives an example. Well, just finally, I can give it to you if anybody's interested. Tons, loads of information. I think machine learning's been around for a long time, but now I think we're going to see it more and more often. So it's better that we as a security community come together and actually do something about it for application security rather than just incident response. An application could be, like I said, any coding, embedded, anything. It could be anything. So, all right, guys. Thank you.